trying to prove to the mainstream media, because now they're starting to talk about this whole birth being fictitious coming from Meghan. So she's trying to put out there to the haters, look, it is me giving birth. See, I'm in the hospital dancing like a skank.
She's got form for strapping on baby bumps.
There's something very wrong with that shape, in my view.
If these children were not born by Meghan Markle's body, then they are unable to sit in the line of succession, the royal line of succession. We're talking about Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, of course. Then this video, and let's take a look at some of it, because this video has horrified so many, because Meghan quite clearly here.
I think they split within 12 months.
Developing today, it was the slut job that ricocheted around the world for all the wrong reasons. Meghan Markle believed that she would finally put to rest the ongoing, and I believe very accurate, speculation that she had been wearing a moon bump. This is not a natural body position. That's before you even get to the fact.
This wasn't supposed to happen. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry had managed to keep one secret buried for years, until now.
A real baby bump, or has she strapped it on? Because
weird.
She's got form for strapping on baby bumps.
For all their public battles with the palace, the media, and even their own families, one truth remained untouched, until a single woman, known only by 2 letters, stepped forward and shattered the illusion with a single claim. I'm the real mother of their children. Let that sink in.
Room, apparently getting ready to give labor to this child, Lily. Now, first of all, there's a few things I have to say about this video, okay? Looking at this video, the first thing that comes to mind is that stomach is too big.
Because behind every royal photograph, every staged baby bump moment, every glowing post-birth appearance, a different woman now claims she was quietly suffering through labor, bleeding in isolation, with no cameras, no applause, and no royal title. Just silence. Her name is DL, and she's no longer staying in the shadows. She's ready to blow the lid off one of the biggest royal secrets of our time. And she's bringing contracts, medical records, and even a DNA test to back it up. The palace has gone quiet.
So what do you think as you see it? I think
there's something very wrong with that shape, in my view. I don't know, look, I'm mesmerised, but I'm kind of sick. Do you know what I'm thinking? I'm glad the Queen is no longer with us, because, oh my Lord, how she would be.
Meghan and Harry haven't said a word. Not one denial, not one post, just silence. And that silence, it's starting to sound like surrender. If what DL is saying is true, this isn't just about deception, it's about legitimacy. It's about bloodlines. It's about whether Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet were ever entitled to those royal titles, or whether the world's been sold a fairy tale built on a lie. And now, with the world watching and the palace reportedly panicking behind closed doors, a reckoning is coming. The truth is clawing its way to the surface. But to understand how we got here, you have to go back.
So undignified. I don't know, call me old-fashioned, but I'm finding that quite uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable. I don't think, because she's done this before for photos.
Back to the very beginning. Back to the moment when the public first noticed. Something wasn't quite right with Meghan's bump. From the moment Meghan Markle stepped out cradling her belly, the world was watching and whispering. At first, the public fawned over her. She was the modern Duchess, breaking traditions with poise, elegance, and that Hollywood sparkle. But then came the photos that sparked a wildfire. In one clip, Meghan was caught on camera bending over, and as she stood back up, her baby bump appeared to crease. Not just fold gently like soft skin, but bend sharply, unnaturally. Internet sleuths didn't need long. Theories exploded. Was it a moon bump?
I think that is a real baby bump.
It's way too big. It's way too big.
And sort of too low.
A prosthetic belly designed for movies and public performances. Could a real pregnancy bump bend like that? Then came the next red flag. Days after supposedly giving birth, Meghan appeared in public looking slim, radiant, and camera-ready. Not a single hint of postpartum exhaustion, no visible swelling, no signs of recent labor. In fact, some fans joked she looked even better than before pregnancy, but critics weren't laughing. They were asking serious questions. How could she recover so quickly? Why were there no hospital photos? No official doctors standing on the Lindo Wing steps like with Kate Middleton? No royal protocol, no media frenzy, just a vague press release and a smiling photo op. And the timing, even that didn't make sense. People started comparing dates, trying to line up when she was visibly pregnant, how big the bump looked, and when the babies were announced. Nothing quite added up. The bump size seemed to fluctuate between public appearances. Some days it was petite. Other days it looked enormous and oddly positioned. Too low, too round, too unnatural. Whispers turned into headlines, and headlines turned into rumors that never fully went away. Royal insiders dismissed them as tabloid trash. Supporters of Meghan claimed it was racism, misogyny, or just cruel conspiracy thinking. But even then, people couldn't unsee what they'd seen. A bump that folded, a post-birth body that looked pre-pregnancy perfect.
With this video of her in the hospital room, apparently getting ready to give labor to this child, Lily. Now, first of all, there's a few things I have to say about this video.
And a royal birth story that felt more like a PR campaign than real life. It wasn't just about curiosity anymore. It was about authenticity. People wanted answers, but none came. And that's what made it worse. Because every time the palace stayed silent, every time Meghan smiled through another interview, the suspicion only grew. What were they hiding? Why were questions off limits? Why did the official story feel like it skipped an entire chapter? And now, with DL stepping forward and dropping the biggest bombshell yet, it's clear those whispers were just the beginning. Because behind every strange photo, every carefully staged baby moment, there might have been someone else living the real story. And she's ready to tell it. Her name isn't Meghan. It's not Rachel. And it's not anyone you've seen in a royal photo. She's simply known as DL. 2 letters. 1 voice, and according to her, she's the biological mother of Meghan and Harry's 2 children. DL says she was approached years ago, long before the public ever suspected anything was unusual.
Oh, the first thing that comes to mind is that stomach is too big. It's too big. I showed it to my husband and he was like, it looks like she's giving birth to triplets. And I'm like, yeah, whose belly is that big?
She claims she was recruited through an elite California-based agency, one that specialized in discreet, high-profile arrangements. No public listings, no online applications, just private referrals, background checks, and airtight non-disclosure agreements. Her mission? Carry a royal child. Twice, then disappear. DL wasn't allowed to speak to the media. She says her phone was taken. Her visitors were screened. Even her living situation was carefully controlled. She was allegedly housed in a monitored private residence with scheduled medical visits and limited access to the outside world. No selfies, no personal mail, no evidence of her role. Just silence. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, Meghan Markle was glowing. She was walking red carpets, holding baby showers with celebrities, and appearing on talk shows with carefully cradled bellies.
She's clearly doing this because she's trying to prove to the mainstream media, because now they're starting to talk about this whole birth being fictitious.
Every gesture rehearsed, every smile timed. According to DL, this wasn't coincidence. It was choreography. She says Meghan didn't just want a child, she wanted the experience. The optics, the bump photos, the headlines that said, "Royal baby on the way." She wasn't just borrowing biology, she was crafting a performance. And DL, she watched it all from behind closed doors, bleeding, contracting, giving birth in silence. She alleges that the contract made it clear, deliver the baby, then vanish. No claim to the child, no press, no story. The deal was simple. Take the check and disappear into the shadows. But now, DL says the shadows have gone too far. She's tired of being erased from history so that someone else can play Mother of the Year on Netflix. And she's ready to speak. Not with emotion, but with evidence. But even that shocking confession is only the beginning. because what DL claims to have in her possession could take this from tabloid drama to legal catastrophe. DL isn't just speaking out. She's preparing to go to court. Because behind her words, behind the pain and silence, is a folder. And in that folder, according to her legal team, is enough documented proof to trigger a royal crisis.
Coming from Meghan. So she's trying to put out there to the haters, look, it is me giving birth. See, I'm in the hospital dancing like a skank. I couldn't believe I saw her dancing like, I'm sorry to call her that word, but she is. You're a duchess. Who does this? Who behaves like this?
Let's start with the basics. Contracts. DL claims she signed multiple legally binding agreements, drawn up not by some shady agency, but by lawyers allegedly working in coordination with Meghan's legal team. These weren't casual surrogacy deals. These were highly tailored contracts designed to ensure secrecy at all costs.
Sit your Duchess of sausage butt down. What are you doing? Dancing all provocatively, supposedly pregnant in that big fake looking bump. I'm sorry, it doesn't even make sense.
Clauses about confidentiality, public silence, and complete surrender of parental rights. Standard in elite surrogacy? Maybe. But the language, DL says, went even further, deliberately designed to erase her from the narrative entirely. Next, medical records. DL says she kept every piece of paper she was allowed to have. Scans, appointment logs, ultrasound images, prescriptions, even personal notes from clinic staff. All dated, all traceable, all pointing to one woman carrying two royal heirs in total isolation. But it doesn't stop there. Her legal team is reportedly sitting on private email exchanges between the agency and what they claim is Meghan's legal representation, discussing payment timelines, delivery expectations, even postnatal care arrangements. There's allegedly mention of a media blackout clause, and even reference to a belly prosthetic provider hired to ensure consistency during public appearances. If these documents are real and hold up in court, this wouldn't just embarrass Meghan. It would unravel her entire public image, the glowing, empowered mother, the woman who shared her miscarriage story as a global rallying cry, the humanitarian building a brand around authenticity and vulnerability. DL's attorneys have confirmed she's agreed to a DNA test. She's not hiding anymore. She's not afraid of the cameras. She wants to prove that what the world thought was motherhood was something else entirely. And if the DNA test confirms her claim, it won't be Meghan facing the consequences alone, because DL says one more name appears in the documentation. A signature, a thank you note, a visit during her second trimester from a man who allegedly knew everything all along. Prince Harry. And if that turns out to be true, this isn't just about a scandal. This could shake the entire monarchy from the inside out. Just when the rumors were finally starting to fade, Meghan did something no one expected. She dropped a video. It appeared out of nowhere. Grainy, low-quality footage of her inside what looked like a hospital room. No context, no press release, just Meghan, visibly pregnant, dancing, laughing, moving her hips in front of the camera as if she were filming a TikTok challenge, not preparing to give birth to a royal child. Almost instantly, the internet lit up, and not with support. Critics were horrified. Supporters were confused, and even neutral observers couldn't make sense of what they were seeing. Why was Meghan dancing suggestively in a hospital gown? Who filmed this? Why now, years after her daughter Lilibet was supposedly born? But the bigger question was one no one could ignore. Was that even a real baby bump? Commentators didn't hold back. Some called the bump too round. Others said it was sitting too low.
That they were escaping the United Kingdom because they wanted privacy. They hated the press. They hated everything to be involved in the intrusion in their lives. And then they had their little children and the feral children, and they left them with the chickens. And all she does now with her jams that are crap is...
A few even pointed out that it seemed to move awkwardly as she danced, shifting in ways a natural pregnant belly shouldn't. The most brutal comparisons, people saying it looked more like she was wearing a costume than carrying a child. One viral comment read, "She's twerking like she's in a nightclub, not like someone who's about to give birth." And the timing couldn't have been worse. With DL's claims now gaining traction, this video, which may have been intended as damage control, only made things worse. Because instead of proving she gave birth, it fueled suspicions. Who drops a random hospital video years after the birth unless they're trying to rewrite history? Some speculated the footage was old, others said it was staged. But one thing was clear, it didn't help Meghan's case. In fact, it almost seemed like she was panicking, trying to wave a shaky piece of evidence in front of a world that had already moved on. And just like that, the narrative started to slip. The carefully curated image Meghan had spent years building, graceful, composed, maternal, was cracking. Because if you have to prove you gave birth with a video this bizarre...
She's waiting for she's twerking with the baby to try and make the baby come. This is to induce Elizabeth's birth. She's dancing in front of the camera. Oh God, it looks like a lap dancing club with pregnant women. He's also dancing in front of the camera.
What are you really trying to hide? And that's when people began asking a much darker question. If this was her response to DL's claims, what if DL was telling the truth all along? As DL's story gained traction and Meghan's odd hospital video continued to circulate, the spotlight shifted not just to Meghan, but to the monarchy itself. Because if what DL says is true,
reality show, I think that they are going to have to break down and continue to spill, because I don't think that any of their commercial ventures are working. But this is not the way. This is not the path. I think she's being completely destructive to her own brand.
then someone helped cover it up. Let's rewind to 2019, the year Archie was born. Royal fans noticed something strange about his birth certificate. Instead of listing Meghan's full legal name, Rachel Meghan Markle, the certificate simply read, Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. No first name, just the title. Odd, right? At the time, Meghan blamed the palace. The palace, in turn, pointed the finger right back at Meghan. No one could agree on why her legal name had been removed from such a critical document. Was it a simple error, or something far more calculated? Then came the silence. No press outside the hospital. No public appearance with royal doctors. No Lindo Wing moment. Just a vague announcement. Archie is here. It felt abrupt. Too clean. Too rehearsed. Like a press release for a product launch. Not the arrival of a royal baby. Palace insiders started to whisper that pregnancy-related questions were strictly off limits. According to one former staffer, even senior aides were warned not to speculate or ask inappropriate questions about Meghan's maternity journey.
Because of their woke narrative fits in exactly what the mainstream media wants to portray.
One anonymous insider even claimed, "You ask, you're gone." And that's where the cover-up theory takes root. If the palace didn't know Meghan used a surrogate, then how were they so confident in protecting the story? If they did know, why participate in the deception? What were they afraid of? Some royal watchers believe the palace made a devil's bargain. In exchange for Meghan and Harry keeping certain internal scandals private, the institution may have agreed to help stage the perfect royal birth narrative. A trade, a deal, one secret for another. But as DL emerges from the shadows, that agreement, if it ever existed, is starting to collapse. Because the longer Meghan and Harry remain silent, the more it looks like complicity. And if the palace knew the truth all along, they didn't just deceive the press.
People who criticize them are, in our kind of bubble, really. You'd be amazed.
They deceived the entire Commonwealth. And if that deception stretches all the way to the line of succession, then we're not just talking about betrayal, we're talking about a constitutional crisis. This isn't just about reputations anymore. It's about the crown. Because if DL's claims are real, they don't just rattle public trust, they shake the very laws that hold the British monarchy together. According to centuries-old royal protocol, only biological descendants of the monarch can enter the official line of succession. That's not ceremonial. It's legal. It governs who inherits titles, lands, and even access to taxpayer funding. And here's the bombshell. If Meghan never gave birth to Archie or Lilibet, and if a surrogate like DL is confirmed to be the biological mother, then both children would be ineligible to hold royal titles or places in the line of succession, at least under current royal law. Let that sink in. 2 children who've already been crowned prince and princess.
When you said
2 kids who appeared in official
this,
Jubilee
I checked
portraits,
up what it was all
who
about,
were
and
christened
actually,
with royal blessings. whose names are etched into the historical lineage of Britain's most powerful family, may not legally belong there at all. And it's not just about protocol, it's about perception. The royal family has survived scandals before, but those were about behavior. This is about blood.
She's been doing. I'm not kidding you. But here's my theory. My theory is that because of that protection they've been afforded by the mainstream media, that they're so out of touch with what the regular people believe. That
about the literal foundation of royal legitimacy. Buckingham Palace is said to be in quiet crisis mode. Constitutional experts have reportedly been called in behind closed doors. Legal teams are reviewing what options exist should DL's claims be verified in court. Contingency plans are being drawn. How to protect the crown, how to manage public fallout, how to preserve trust while distancing the monarchy from the couple they once reluctantly welcomed in. Because if Archie and Lilibet are ruled out of the succession, then what happens to the titles they hold? The privileges, the press tours, the branded baby books and Netflix specials? And more importantly, what happens to Meghan and Harry? But as the monarchy scrambles behind the scenes, one royal isn't holding it together. In fact, insiders say he's spiraling and fast. For years, Prince Harry was seen as the wild card, the cheeky younger brother, the rebel with a royal heart. But according to those close to the Sussex camp, that image has completely unraveled, and the pressure of DL's claims may be pushing him to a breaking point. Insiders describe a man in free fall. One source close to the couple says Harry has been lashing out at staff, cutting off longtime friends, and isolating himself from even his most trusted inner circle. Another claims he's begging Meghan to say something, anything, to publicly shut down the rumors. But she's refusing. Allegedly, Meghan's response has been chillingly simple. Admitting it makes it real. According to multiple palace insiders, the couple is no longer even sleeping in the same room. Their communications are strained. Meghan is said to be in full damage control mode, surrounding herself with PR experts, attorneys, and crisis consultants. She's working behind the scenes to regain narrative control. But for Harry, it's different. Because if he knew, and that's the question at the heart of it, if Harry knew DL existed, if he visited her, wrote her, thanked her, then he's not just a bystander. He's a participant. DL claims Harry visited her once during the second trimester, that he handed her a handwritten letter expressing gratitude for her sacrifice and her service to the family. If true, that single act moves Harry from a confused husband to an active collaborator in the cover-up. And that's the part reportedly tearing him apart. Friends say he's terrified of the fallout, not just from the press, but from the crown. Because if this becomes a constitutional matter, Harry may be forced to testify. He may be asked to explain the letter, the visit, the silence. And if he admits to any of it, the consequences could destroy the last thread of royal connection he has left.
Because how can we know that it's not? Given that this clearly is not.
Meanwhile, Meghan appears composed, stoic, strategically silent. Her team is reportedly advising her to ride out the storm. But silence isn't working anymore. Not with headlines growing louder, not with social media turning, and definitely not with DL preparing for the courtroom. Because for Meghan, this might be about brand protection. But for Harry, it could be personal ruin. At first, it was just whispers. Then the whispers became questions. And now, Meghan and Harry's silence has ignited a global storm they can't control. The media, once cautiously respectful, has started turning. Even outlets that were previously Sussex-friendly are now treading lightly, using phrases like unverified surrogate claims or ongoing speculation around maternity. Translation, they're hedging their bets. No one wants to be the first to say it outright, but no one's ignoring it anymore either. Meanwhile, social media has gone into full-blown meltdown mode. Hashtags like #whoistherealmother and #DLTruth are trending. Former fans are deleting old tweets praising Meghan as a maternal icon.
A bump that at all looks like a human pregnant bump. Alexandra Marshall, what do you make of this video?
Even high-profile influencers, those who once built entire brands on Meghan's feminism and modern motherhood persona, have gone eerily quiet. It's not just Meghan they're doubting, it's the story. The perfectly packaged narrative that felt too clean, too polished, too immune to scrutiny. Because now, even her most loyal defenders are asking the one question Meghan and Harry haven't answered. Why haven't you denied it? No Instagram post, no strongly worded statement, not even a veiled reference in a podcast. Just nothing. And in the world of celebrity, where PR statements are crafted within minutes, that kind of silence isn't strategy. It's fear. Because every second they say nothing, the internet fills in the blanks. Theories multiply, memes circulate, videos are dissected frame by frame, and the court of public opinion doesn't wait for DNA tests. Inside sources say Meghan's team is now split. Some advisors are urging her to come forward, even with a carefully worded denial. Others believe any comment would validate the story further.
My friend, when you invited me on this show, you didn't say you're going to traumatize me. I am an ambassador.
So for now, she's staying silent. But that silence, it's speaking volumes. Because when public figures are accused of something this explosive and they say nothing at all, it doesn't calm the storm. It becomes the storm. And while the world waits, DL prepares. Because the next step won't happen on social media. It's happening in court and in a lab. DL isn't just dropping claims, she's submitting proof.
Repeat. But basically with this whole Meghan Markle thing, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. They were so desperate to be the victims of the press. Well, that's exactly what Harry's gone out and done. And they pretend to want privacy and to be left alone and respect. And then they go and drop something like this, which, I mean, I know she's not the brightest, most in-touch person in the world, but even she would know that this video is going to attract all the wrong kinds of attention. And you can't tell me it's got nothing to do with the timing of this release, which you would have thought would be around the time of the birth, not, years later. It's because they've had such a monumental failure with their products and their services online that their attention-seeking money revenue streams are drying up. And so this is like a last-ditch, bottom-of-the-barrel effort. You said, will it bring her down? She's got to get off the floor before you bring her back down again. I mean, there's nowhere for her to go, and she's not going to divorce.
According to sources close to her legal team, she has formally agreed to a DNA test. Not behind closed doors, not quietly, but as part of a public, legal, and potentially televised deposition. She's ready to testify under oath, ready to present records, ready to undergo testing, and ready to show the world that the two children known as Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet didn't come from Meghan Markle's body, but from hers. If the DNA confirms her maternity, the fallout will be immediate. Meghan's carefully constructed image, mother, survivor, advocate, could collapse overnight. Her multi-million-dollar deals tied to family branding in jeopardy. Her Netflix documentaries centered on motherhood discredited. Her entire legacy gone. But it won't stop there. If DL is confirmed to be the biological mother, questions will be raised about Harry's involvement. Did he know? Did he participate in crafting the deception? DL claims he visited her, personally thanked her, and even signed a note. If that letter surfaces, it's game over. More importantly, it could send shockwaves through the monarchy, because the legitimacy of royal titles is no small matter. If the children weren't born of Meghan's womb, then by law, they may not be entitled to use royal styling or inherit positions in the line of succession. The crown may be forced to intervene. Parliament may need to debate. It could become the biggest royal reckoning since Edward VIII walked away from the throne. And inside the palace...
But let me just ask, though, in your role as a supporter of the constitutional monarchy...
Quiet meetings are already happening. Crisis teams are allegedly preparing for every scenario, from media damage control to constitutional restructuring. Because if DL's story checks out, it will mark the first time in modern history that the legitimacy of royal heirs is disputed in a court of law. And Meghan...
The British royal family...
Her team is scrambling, but no lawsuit has been filed against DL. No cease and desist, no defamation claim, just legal silence. And legal silence, in this case, is not a shield. it's an omen. Because once that DNA swab is done, it won't be a conspiracy anymore. It'll be a courtroom bombshell. And if it hits the target, it won't just take down a duchess, it could rattle the entire monarchy. Behind the gilded gates of Buckingham Palace, a storm is brewing, one more dangerous than any tabloid scandal or royal family feud. Because this time, it's not just about drama, it's about the crown itself.
Thing that Charles and William could do now is actually say enough. Enough. We've got to strip.
Insiders say contingency plans are already being drafted. Quiet conversations with constitutional advisors have been taking place behind closed doors. Crisis PR firms are on standby. The palace is reportedly exploring how to distance itself from Meghan and Harry without triggering a full-blown royal revolt. Some options are extreme, like revoking the children's royal titles or even stripping Meghan and Harry of their remaining honors. Others are more subtle, like slowly erasing their presence from official events, quietly excluding them from ceremonial invitations, and letting their roles fade into irrelevance. But none of it will be easy, because what's at stake isn't just public trust, it's the bloodline that defines British monarchy. The monarchy has weathered many storms: divorces, affairs, abdications, even explosive interviews. But it has never had to face a claim that royal children might not be biologically legitimate heirs to the throne, that their very presence in the line of succession could violate centuries of royal law. If DL's story proves true, then what we're witnessing isn't just the collapse of a brand. It's the disintegration of a carefully curated royal illusion, one built on baby bumps, family portraits, and palace pageantry. And inside that illusion, two children who never asked to be at the center of a constitutional crisis, two innocent lives now pulled into the fallout of a lie that was too big, too risky, and too dangerous to maintain. Meghan and Harry once told the world they left the monarchy for peace, privacy, and freedom.
Unpopular. But for me, there's something quite grim about the fact that they're carrying on like this while remaining sort of connected to the royal family in some way.
But now, it looks like they may have left to hide something much darker. And with the DNA test looming, that secret is about to detonate. And when it does, there will be no more staged photos, no carefully worded statements, no documentaries to soften the blow, because the curtain is about to drop. And what's behind it will shake history. This was supposed to be a modern fairy tale. A prince falls in love with an American actress. They break the mold, they challenge tradition. They escape the palace walls and start a new life, free, happy, and full of purpose. But now, that story is unraveling. DL's voice, once silenced by contracts and fear, is echoing louder than any royal announcement. She isn't just exposing a personal betrayal, she's pulling the pin on a narrative carefully constructed and globally sold, and she's doing it with evidence, legal backing, and a willingness to face the consequences in open court. The world is watching. The monarchy is scrambling. And Meghan and Harry, they're still silent. No denials, no rebuttals, no lawsuits, just eerie quiet. And in today's media landscape, silence isn't strength, it's surrender. Meghan's brand, once synonymous with empowerment, motherhood, and truth, is now teetering on the edge of collapse. Her motherhood journey, once celebrated as revolutionary, now looks like an elaborate performance. Every speech about maternal struggle, every interview about raising royal babies, every photo with cradled bumps, now under the microscope. Because if DL is proven right, then Meghan didn't just deceive the public, she exploited it. And Prince Harry, he's no longer the rogue royal we used to root for. He may soon be remembered as the man who knowingly helped fabricate the most elaborate royal lie of our generation. This isn't about gossip. It's not about race or rebellion or tabloid frenzy. It's about credibility, about a monarchy already weakened by scandal now staring down the barrel of its most dangerous reckoning yet. And at the center of it all, two children, innocent, unaware, born into a lie too massive to contain. The story of Meghan and Harry began as a love story, but it may end as a royal fraud. Because the silence, it's loud, but the truth, it's louder.